Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here tonight. I've done a couple of storytellings before. I find them very enjoyable and very therapeutic, but I also enjoy the enlightenment from listening to the other speakers. Now, as Winston introduced me, he introduced me as Janet Walmsley, and that's exactly who I am. And it's just like when you're introduced or someone introduces you, you are very honest in saying who you are. Now, my story tonight is going to center around identity and 3 different identity levels and step-ups that I have done. My identity started in Manitoba, where I was born and raised, and my parents had actually going to be named, they were going to name me Brenda Doreen. But then they decided, no, we're going with Janet Gale. And you know, I gotta say, I'm kind of happy because I feel I suit Janet Gale better. Now, when I was a child, my personality, what my identity with that was, I was very bubbly, I was very outgoing, I was very active, which I still am today at 64. And in these years, these 64 years of mine, I have gone through a lot of next steps, a lot of next levels, where I had, with some of them, I needed courage, I needed strength, I needed to be assertive, because I had fears that I had to conquer, and I had barriers that were coming in front of me that I had to push away. The first one is marriage. I was married 3 times, and each time my last name changed with that identity. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be married 3 times. I was only planning to be married once. As a young woman, my ideal was, I was going to have this loving husband and children, and I had that white picket fence scenario and that fantasy dream and the fairy tale of being married happily ever after. Well, my first marriage, I was 19 coming 20. And I fell, and did I fall hard. He was a fellow from Germany, and we hit it off right away. And then he had to go back to Germany, and he said, I'd love you to come and visit. And I said, sure. So off I went at 19. My parents were horrified. I was going to a foreign country. I was only going for 5 weeks, Mom and Dad, it'll be okay. I never came back. Yeah, I ended up really loving this guy, ended up getting married. We were married for 10 years. And out of that marriage, we had a beautiful son. I tried really hard with this marriage to keep it together. But when you have his own parents saying to you, Janet, we don't like the way he's treating you. He's not good. And I thought, okay, then something's up. Because there I was a devoted wife, a devoted mom. I was the main breadwinner. I was keeping us financially afloat. And he was doing the exact opposite. He would work from time to time, end up quitting or be fired, and he'd just lay on the couch, drinking, eating, smoking, going out with his friends. I'm going, wait a minute. I don't feel like his wife. I feel like his mother. I feel like a slave. I feel like his caretaker. And how dare this identity of marriage betray me like this? My vision of this happily ever after and love, it was gone. And not only was it, I was young, right? I was young, but I knew this isn't what a wife and husband was supposed to be like. I mean, I wasn't expecting perfection, but I was expecting, some togetherness and joy. And not only was I going through that, but there was something that happened that just stuck right in my heart like a knife. When we were going out, he became very flirtatious, very womanizing. And I thought, I disappeared, like I wasn't even there. And I thought, well, why is he doing this? I'm so good to him. I'm such a devoted wife. I waited on hand and foot, and with his child, I was such a good mom. But number one, I was faithful. But I couldn't say the same about him. And so I had to take my next step, divorce. Not that I wanted to. I did everything I possibly could to keep it together. But when he had the affair, that was the last straw. I decided to hit the road. And it really pummeled my self-esteem because I thought, whoa, what is wrong with me? What did I do wrong? So now we go on to the second marriage. I called it in a phrase, I think I went from the frying pan into the fire. I did it again. I fell hard. I thought, oh my God, this is the one I did it. Thank you, God. I finally met the one. It's my second marriage, and it'll be the last one. We were together for 8 years, and out of that marriage, she's here tonight, is our lovely daughter right there. And I thought, you know, at first he was so good with my son at first. And that was the number one importance for me when you have a child, when someone else is coming into your life. But, oh boy, was I wrong? Was I wrong? Do I have bad choice in men or what? The controlling started. The verbal abuse, the mental abuse, and some physical abuse. And I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't say anything right. The way I talked, the way I dressed, the way I looked, how I was as a mother, how I cooked. And it was just like walking on eggshells continually. I was scared whatever I was going to say or do. Oh, for example, we lived in Yellowknife, and we had, it's called a water backwash system. And I was helping him because it wasn't working. And, you know, I was being a nice wife, kind wife, passing him tools and all that. And then I just, you know, out of the blue mentioned, what's that hole up there? And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, you're so stupid. He took this big container of this dirty, vile-smelling backwash and poured it right over me. And I said, oh God, what have I done? What have I done? And he also knew, in another direction, he also knew I was very self-conscious about being small-chested, flat-chested. And he would dig into me like a knife to make me feel bad about that. He would say, oh, you're so ugly, you're so fortunate you've got me, because who else would want a woman with a flat chest like what you have? And there was other comments as well. It wore me down. It defeated me. I got to the point that the Janet that I was losing. But with my children, they always ignited the light, and Janet could come back with them. But however, I couldn't do it with him. He was able to brainwash me. He was able to pound the Janet out of me. And I couldn't understand it, because here we go again. I was this caring, loving wife, mom. I had a really good paying professional job. I was intelligent, I was outgoing, I was social, I was fun. But somehow, I allowed this man to take that away from me. I allowed him to rob the essence of who I was and take my personality identity. Why? And when I thought about this, you always think that you're the best person that you can be, and you do your utmost for them. But I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. And you're probably wondering, well, why didn't she divorce him sooner with all this stuff? There are two reasons why I didn't. I'll say the second one first. Pride. I was so worried what other people were going to think about me. They'd be going, oh, look at Janet's already going through another divorce. What's that all about? And now she's going to go through another one? Mind games going on in my head. But the first one, I was terrified to leave. I was scared because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get out of there safe with my kids. So I had to do my next step, another level. I had to be courageous, and I had to be strategic to be able to get my kids and I out there safely. Well, fortunately, my kids did get out. But I got cornered in the bathroom at her house with him screaming and yelling in my face, going, I'm going to kill you, and then you're not going to be alive, and your children are not going to have their mother. Boy, did I ever have to think Johnny on the spot. I had to do my best Oscar-winning performance because I had to create a space in between him and I so I could run the hell out of there and get to my kids. What could I do? Think fast, Janet. Stroke his ego. So I, like he was a god, I was bending down and saying, I'm so sorry, it's all me. What the hell have I done? It's me, it's not you. There's something wrong with me. You know, please forgive me. And I was going on and on and on. It worked. I sweetened his ego enough that I created that space in between me, and I was able to run out of there as fast as my legs could take me. So my next level, my next step, I ended up at the women's transition house with my children, and we stayed there till it was safe enough for us to leave. My identity changed back to being a single mom, and I said, I am never getting married again. I'm just being here for my kids, and that's my life. And I also went to group therapy, and my God, that's the best thing I ever did. It helped me immensely, enlightened me, not only about marriage, but about me. Because there I was in this room with a group of about 8, 9 women, and I was looking at mirror images of myself. These professional, lovely, beautiful women inside and out who had been pummeled to the ground from their men. They had their self-esteem ripped right out of them, and they were being controlled every day. And one thing I remember we got from this group therapy, and I still have it today, it's a wooden flower, and it has a wooden stem, and on the petals, it has your personality traits. And some of mine were caring, giving, loving, warm, and those are beautiful, beautiful traits to have. But they can work against you. Yes, they can work against you. What they do is they can cause you to be abused, they can cause you to be used and to be taken advantage of. So, fear of the identity of marriage. Would I ever take the next level? Would I ever take the next step and marry again with everything I've been through? Well, as you heard at the beginning of the marriage, I said I've been married 3 times, and I don't know if you've been counting, so that's 1, 2. Thank God I'm not Elizabeth Taylor. We'd be here all week with her 8 or 9 marriages. I did get married again, 3rd time a charm, and we've been together 23 years and married 21. Just having a drink of water. So, I said I had 3 identities here. My second one is a physical identity with me, and it was one that could have killed me too. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I thought, whoa, this was a shock. Breast cancer did not run in our family. I was the first. And I remember the day I found out, and I spoke to my family. We all had our cry, and I said, that's it. Next day, I'm not crying anymore. That's negative, but I'm going to put that behind me. I'm going full speed ahead, onward, upward, positive thinking. I was going to take this challenge on like I did with my daughter who was diagnosed with autism. Now, I'm the type of person that I deal with things with humor. Humor seems to get me through both mentally and physically. So that's what I did with this. And a lot of people go, you're a little bit different than most, the way you sort of deal with this. And I said, well, it works for me. For examples, after the operation, which was 6.5 hours, let me tell you, that is exquisite pain. I remember the nurse coming up to me and she was going, Mrs. Walmsley, would you like some pain medicine? And I've got a high pain threshold, but I said, yes. And then when she came the second time, I said, you know what? I'm the yes woman. So anytime you're coming and you think you have to give medicine, just give it to me. And she laughed. And then later on, when I was home recovering, and my sister had come from Winnipeg to be with me, God bless her heart, and to be there for my family. And after the operation, and when you're at home, you're recovering, you have these long tubes that come out of each breast. And at the end, you have these little containers, and they have to be drained every 3 to 4 hours. And I remember when I had the first chance to actually go outside and have the fresh air and walk, which was so beautiful. I remember her and I were walking, and it's me, I grabbed the tubes, and I'm swinging, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm singing, and my sister's looking at me, horrified, looking aside, she goes, oh my God, Janet, nobody else could do it. Janet, you can do it, and you can get away with it. And then when we were having the surgery and after my breast healed, of course they take your nipples, so you got to get your nipples remade. And I remember we were in surgery and you stay awake, you're not put to sleep. And I was frozen there. And I remember I got to know the plastic surgeon quite well, and her and I were laughing and making jokes. I said, hey, it's like you're doing silly putty or Play-Doh down there. And she just goes, oh, Janet. And then there was a surgeon that was walking by and he says, you guys are having too much fun. He says, I want to be with you because my surgery's boring. So we chuckled about that too. And then last but not least is when I went to speak with my plastic surgeon before the surgery, and she says, okay, Janet, and she started opening these drawers, and I'm going, my God, there's a whole bunch of different sizes of boobs in there. And she goes, yes, you're an actor. Which one would you like? And I went, okay, well, I don't want Dolly Parton, but you can give me Jennifer Aniston or Angelina Jolie. I'll take one of those. So we had a good laugh about that. So that's how I dealt with having breast cancer. I decided to push away the negative with humor. I decided to put my mindset positive because you go through so much identity change, both personality and with your body. And my hat's off to anyone here who has had or has breast cancer, or they know someone that has it, because you have to be a courageous warrior to fight so many next steps and next levels. And my heart goes out to ones who have had to fight this courageous fight, and their next level was death. My heart goes out to them and their families. And I got to say, I'm a 5-year breast cancer survivor, which I'm very happy to say. And even though I am, thank you, it every now and then pops up into my head. Is it going to come back? Is it going to spread? Am I going to be okay? Boom. Mindset change, positive thinking, full speed ahead, onwards and upwards. And what I'm helping out with, I don't do it every year, but the years that I can, at VGH Hospital, they have an event where plastic surgeons and breast surgeons will talk with people about ones who have just been diagnosed with cancer. And then afterwards, there's 10 of us women, we line up, and we have robes on, and we're naked from the waist up, so that these individuals, after the speakers have spoke, they come down, and they're looking at the breast, the reconstruction or non-reconstruction. But boy, when you're watching those individuals come down, you see the fear. You see the worriedness, you see the scaredness. So my next level with breast cancer was to pay it forward, because I wanted to be a listening ear, I wanted to be a shoulder to cry on, and I wanted to give these individuals a shining hope and positiveness for their next step and level with their breast cancer. Identity, identity, identity. My third one. Remember at the beginning, I was talking about how when you introduce yourself, you honestly say who you are, right? Well, last year, October 19th, my identity was stolen. Someone took my identity, said they were Janet Walmsley, and were being dishonest about who they were. This happened unbeknownst to me because my daughter and I both have best-selling books out there, and we were on a book signing in Coquitlam at their chapters there. And I was sick for about 3 or 4 days after that, lovely present from my present husband, who I love. And I was going, okay, I went to go use my debit card, I went to go use my credit card, and then I tried online banking. I couldn't get on my online banking, I couldn't get any money from credit cards, and I couldn't buy anything with my debit. I thought, that is really strange. I knew there was money in the debit, our credit cards were paid off, and that's the first time I could not get onto my online banking. So I was worried. I phoned the bank. And the fellow who answered the phone at the bank was going, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe fraud. My eyes bugged out like a cartoon character. Boing, I'm going, what? Fraud? He goes, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. He says, you're gonna have to phone the bank fraud department. I said, okay. So he gave me the number. My life has never been the same. It's been a never-ending nightmare. And also, not only with the fraud, but the incompetency of the bank and the bank fraud department. It has been a horror, and the disrespect and keeping me in the dark and my family in the dark has been horrible. So anyways, I went to phone this bank fraud department number, it wasn't the right number. It was for employees, and I needed an employee code. Well, I'm not an employee of the bank. So I thought, Janet, get physically down to that bank, get down there. I was frantic. I had to know what was going on with our money in the bank. So I went down there, explained to them about this fraud number that wasn't right, and they said, well, we can't help you. You have to go to the bank fraud department. And I said, look, I need some information here. I need to know what's going on. So I had to be assertive. I had to go next step and be assertive. And I did get a new bank card made, and plus I got a written report. I probably wish now that I never asked for the written report, but it was a good thing I did. I was in shock. I just about buckled. When I looked at the report, our savings account was depleted, our checking account and the overdraft was depleted. Both our credit cards were maxed to the hilt and then some. But what brought me to my knees and started to make me cry was when I saw my autistic daughter's trust fund was gone. It was depleted because it was in my name for a reason. And I remember, and we're long-time customers of this bank, and I remember one of the tellers, a lot of them were new. I didn't know the ones that were on that day. And I remember seeing her on my peripheral vision, and she was lifting up her eyes and going, oh my God, get her out of here. And I just went, what? And this young teller just whisked me off to the side. And without any compassion, without any caring, he just says, we can't do anything for you. You got to phone the bank fraud department. Here I am, this older woman. I'm crying. I've just found out everything's gone, and you can't even be respectful to me. So I rushed home. I phoned the right bank fraud department. And you know, you got to consider, this is about 5 or 6 days later. And they said to me, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. We don't have a file. I'm going, well, no wonder my money's gone. So I was assertive about getting this file done and getting this work done. And after that, my next step was to phone Vancouver Police to make a case file, which I did. Now, you're probably wondering, boy, Janet seems really devastated. Just how much came out of her bank? Like, what was going on? Well, the written report, I was able to figure that out. But a couple of things I'm going to tell you here. I had to do something later on in my story here where I had to take a big next step and go another level because I was being left in the dark. This individual took out $17,000 in 11 multiple transactions from a period of time of 2:30 till 7 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon till 7 at night. Where was my bank? I mean, where was the text? Where was a phone call? Where was an email? Where was a block on the money? And my friends are all saying to me, Janet, that's insane, because usually if we take out 500 or 1,000, they're stopping or we're phoning or they're blocking it. My thoughts, exactly. Where was the security of my money with that bank? They dropped the ball. They were at fault. Oh, that's not the clincher, folks. This wasn't even done in in Vancouver. Used to live in Vernon. This wasn't even done in Vancouver. Wasn't even done in BC. This all happened in Regina, Saskatchewan. Do I live in Regina, Saskatchewan? No. Is it uncharacteristic of me, Janet Walmsley, to take out $17,000 in 11 multiple transactions in 5 hours? Yes, very uncharacteristic of me. So what I had to do was, now, because it wasn't in Vancouver Police jurisdiction, I had to phone Regina Police to make a case file there. Great sergeant, been working with them, still am. And he said, Janet, could you please get your bank fraud department to give me a call so we can get some info and catch this woman, because now it's been a few days, we don't want her taking off. So I said, sure. So I phoned the bank fraud department. Oh, and the incompetency of the bank fraud department, every time I phoned them, I had to phone them 5 or 6 different times with info. They still said, oh, we can't file. I don't know what's going on. I went, oh my God. I'm not a violent person, but I just felt like going through there and bunking them on the head. So anyways, they said, no, we've got the file case number. Get him to phone us. We're not going to phone him. I said, are you kidding me? So I thought, okay, my next step, assertive again. I said, you folks have been wronged. I've been wronged here by you. You are at fault here. You dropped the ball. You need to give me some bit of information so I can tell this police officer. I says, this is not right what's happening here. I did get out of the one woman because it was someone different all the time, but I did get out of her 2 locations where transactions were made, which I gave to the police officer, which he in turn was able to get some video from one of the locations and a photo. I feel like vibing right now because when I saw her picture, I could not take my eyes off her. I was staring at her like laser darts burning through her. She looked nothing like me. Definitely younger, 40 years old, very dark hair, long hair, wearing all this costume jewelry and all made up. And I looked and I thought, is she buying perfume there? That's my money that's buying that perfume there. And I thought to myself, you know, there's a woman who's pretending to be me. She's spending all our money. She's nothing like me. She's nothing like me in looks, and she's nothing like me in the heart and the soul. I was a victim of identity theft. This was very hard on me. It was hard on my family. And what happened here too, this was a 24-hour job. I was up early in the morning till up late at night. I'd be waking up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that, and I'm jumping out of bed and writing it all down. My family was worried about me because they were scared I was going to get sick again because of the stress factor with my breast cancer. And there is this woman doing this to me. Now, also, the police officer thought I would be in the dark web because another credit card of mine that wasn't with the bank, it had been canceled. It had been made into another one, and it was being delivered to an address in Toronto, Ontario. Do I live in Toronto, Ontario? No. But he said to me, in the dark web, this woman, whether she's by herself or with a group, could be selling my identity or passing it on. So it's very scary, and it's very, very, very frightening. So I was a victim of this identity theft, and I felt not only a victim of the identity theft, I also felt a victim of the bank. So I had to take that next level I was talking about, take the identity theft to another level, and also I had to take the next step. Because I was sick and tired of this bank not being clear with me, leaving me in the dark, and being so disrespectful. And my friend said to me, ooh, you're pretty brave and courageous here, Janet. I went to the media. I had a CBC TV interview, I had a CBC radio interview, and I also had an interview on their website. I did this not only for me, but I wanted them to find this woman. I did this for every other person because I did not want to see anybody else get victimized like this, be raked through the coals, and have this happen to their identity. To this day, I feel vulnerable, I feel violated, and I even feel like I've been abused again. And the toll it takes not only on your mental health, your physical health, but your family as a unit. And these perpetrators, they get like 2 to 3 months and a little slap on the wrist. Now, this woman in my case, she has been identified. They now know her name. I hope it is her name, but they said it is. And I'm right now, at this moment in time, I'm doing a victim impact statement. And when she's caught, because I will not say if, you know me, positive thinker, onward and upward, full speed ahead, when she's caught, I plan to be physically there at that court hearing. I am not going to have someone else read my victim statement because I'm the one who went through it. I'm going to bring the feelings and the emotion with it. And you're going to make damn sure I'm looking at that woman straight in the eye. And I am going to push in her heart and drill in her brain an impact to show what she has not only done to me, but to my family as a whole. And I hope and pray that she gets more than a couple of months. And I hope and pray, because she's done this before, and I hope and pray that she stays in longer because I do not want anybody else to be victimized like this because it's a hell. I wanted to share these 3 identities with you tonight because I wanted to show or reveal how you take your next step, how you go on that next level. And I also wanted to show how you attack that fear, how you break down those barriers, and how you do it no matter what the circumstances are. You chase it away. Yes, the identity theft, I gotta say, took a bit of a piece of me, but I refused to let it bring me totally down to the ground. So stand firm, stand tall, learn from these experiences, and be identity safe in all avenues of your life. Thank you.